Tools. I like them. It's hard to pick 5. I spend most of my money on them, which is really not that much. But tools for me are more than just part of the job. It is certainly a passion. I think lots of people can probably relate to that. So picking 5 was a little tricky, just because I have so many tools that I am constantly trying to get and like playing with and using. And one of them is actually one that I didn't buy last year. I bought a couple years ago, but didn't really use it a whole lot until this year. And I really enjoy it. And it is from a name that I think most will recognize. Fireball makes some of the coolest fabrication tools around. But this is a magnetic shim set, which I'm sure lots of folks have seen this. If not, they're absolutely incredible to use when setting up, trying to balance stuff out. Obviously, you would want a fabrication table for this to really be effective. But even without, these are really great for doing standoff, when you're trying to figure out how to make 2 corresponding pieces fit together, for tacking and whatnot. These are endlessly useful. I use them more for TIG work than I do MIG work, just because of splatter. You can actually see which ones I use the most from the grease starting to build up and the residue from the oils in my hands and stuff on there. I need to give them a little treatment, but these things are great, and they're kind of like 1, 2, 3 blocks where you can kind of put them in different orientation. But Fireball magnetic shims, get you some. They're great. Check the link. Big fan of Fireball and all that they do. Excited to be able to use them in the shop on a regular basis. So I don't know if that's 5 or 1 or if it matters. We're just going with it. It's one of them.
Yeah.
I do have a favorite though.
Oh, okay. Save that for last.
We're gonna save that.
Okay.
That's good. So nice. You almost have to buy it twice. Let's go a different direction now. This is something, I'm a fan of Reddit.
You're a Redditor.
I'm a Redditor. There are some great tool subreddits, and this is actually a tool that I found off a tool subreddit. Somebody posted and said, holy crap, these things are amazing, you need to get some, and kind of explained they're not terribly expensive. I get these on Amazon, but these are Japanese engineer screw pliers. And they may look like normal pliers. They are mostly normal pliers, but they are so well made and the heat treating is so good. And if you look at the profile at the tip there, it's actually rounded. So what these, and same right here, there's actually like a little concave there. So what this is incredibly useful for is getting stripped screws, and my number 1 use with them is broken taps. I would love to say that I rarely break taps, but taps break all the time. That is a real thing. And if you have worked with a metal tap and had it break off in a hole and you have to adjust it, good luck. It's one of the least pleasant fabrication problems to solve. It usually involves like getting lots of little pliers and turning slowly and crumbling that remaining little bit of tap into smaller pieces, and you just get more frustrated. Or you weld a piece of metal on there that allows you to index it. This does a nice job of holding it very securely, so you can really kind of implement some finesse, which is what you need when removing a broken tap. Even though it feels like brute force all the time, is when that thing gets in there, because it's slightly smaller, it can't sideways, so it gets in there and caught, and then you really have to almost like jiggle and finagle it out. And these Japanese engineering pliers from good old Jeffrey Bezos were maybe my favorite tool that I've bought from Mr. Bezos this year, for sure. Actually, no. My next tool also came from Mr. Bezos. And this, as you may recognize, is something that I had always heard that, hey, you need to have one of these. These are super useful, and I dragged my feet. Traditionally, most of my fabrication stuff is metric. Just coming from the bike world, that was what made sense to me. Working in this shop, we do a lot of standard stuff, and I use this all the time. This, again, it's called a thread detective, and each of these little segments has a male and a female thread on it, and they are the same. So if you have a mystery bolt or a mystery nut, you can figure out what the thread pitch is very quickly and easily by seeing, will it thread into one of these, or if you have a nut, will the nut thread onto that little stud? And that is really, really useful. It saves you a lot of time for running back and forth, trying to match hardware, guessing. There's a lot of pride that takes place in a fabrication shop, and it's nice to be able to look at something and go, yeah, it's a quarter 20, and immediately know. But if we're honest, there's a lot more thread than quarter 20, and it's hard to eyeball that consistently. And there's nothing worse than cross-threading the wrong bolt in there, even if it's like a quarter 20 versus a quarter 18, something weird like that. It's always good to just double check it. And then now that we're in a standard shop, we have a metric set here as well. So the silver ones are standard, and the black is the metric stuff. Don't use these as much here, obviously, but anytime you have metric nut or bolt that you want to check. Super useful, thread detective, get you on Mr. Bezos. The worst thing about this thing is it's just like a really unpleasant tactile experience. So I just kind of leave it dangling from the side of my toolbox and grab it with a little carabiner whenever I need it. But I had this in my like travel tool bag for a while, my non-pack out. We're going old school now.
All right.
This is an old tool, a very old tool. I'll probably figure out how old this is, I would guess. Pre-50s probably. But this is called an Alligator Wrench. I've got a couple different versions of them. This is a Williams one. There's the Bulldog version. These things are not unlike the Thread Detective in terms of just shop efficiency. When you are trying to unbolt something and you don't want to use an adjustable crescent wrench because they suck, let's be honest. We all hate them. This is a pretty great stand-in if you're in a hurry and you just need something to hold the nut on the back of a bolt from spinning to take it off. But you would be surprised at how frequently you use this, especially if you want to grab something like some adjustable toothless pliers or something that would act like a crescent wrench, or if you know exactly what the head of the nut is, you grab that. This just saves you more back and forth from the toolbox, and it can be really quick in terms of alignment. Again, 2 sizes on there. You have a smooth version and a tooth version, so it will catch on the corner of the nut and hold that. You would think that it would like eat up the nuts, and if you were really torquing on it, it certainly would slip and eat up a nut, but for the most part, you're just trying to... if those still exist, they don't really exist around here anymore.
I was about to say, so like, to your knowledge, there's no real modern manufacturer?
I've never looked it up. I'm sure Mr. Bezos has some variety on his empire, but no, I've only ever seen those at garage sales and flea markets. Man, we here in Virginia, we used to have this place called Happy's, and it was ironically the saddest place in town, but it was fantastic for finding old files and hand tools and stuff like that for like $1, you know, just grumpy old dudes like future me getting rid of their wares. But if you have a Happy's in your region, the equivalent, go look, see if you can get an Alligator Wrench. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if this registers, it's fun too. It does to me. It's so fun. You know what? I'm going to do an honorable mention first before we do number 1, because I wanted to include these. I feel like this is just one big plug for Mr. Bezos. Yeah. Damn it. These are phenomenal. These are called Big Thumb. I don't know why. There's nothing that seems thumb-like with that in me. And I'm sure there's other versions, but I just never really encountered a marker like this. I've got some like woodworking specific ones that I've used in the past, but they don't really cross over to metalwork very well. But this makes my honorable mentions list because it is so helpful in getting down if you've drilled a hole way down that you need to mark. Like I actually just today used this on those little hanger racks in there, because there's a 1/4 inch little cutoff offset plate that I used to weld onto there. And they had holes that I needed to mark, and a Sharpie won't fit down in there. So one of these little guys will fit down in that hole, allow you to mark clearly, and then you can take the piece off and pre-drill and know where your holes are.
Is this another Reddit find?
This is actually, you know what, I think it was. Reddit and Bezos. I need to mix things up, man. But they deliver. I mean, these are good. This was another, like, I think someone did recommend these on Reddit. And when you get them, they come in a pack with, I think it's black, white, blue, and red. They're great. They're cheap. I sold Tay on them. He ordered a bunch, and now we use them all the time. And I'm stoked on them. Get you some.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Number one. It's kind of unexpected. And if you're a close follower of the channel, you have probably seen this make an appearance in a very impactful video that we did. But I was ready to fight Tay when I watched his video because I was so afraid that this was going to be on his list because I got this thing and it changed my life. And it was so good that he went and got one too. They are that good. It does not seem like it should be. What this is, and I could kind of go on a whole thing with this was kind of the year of vacuums for me. You know, I like dust collection and vacuums in my own personal shop are something that like I really drug my feet on because it's like buying a car battery. It's not gratifying ways to spend money. It is though. I mean, once you figure it out, once you realize it. No. Yeah. But I got myself a little M12 Milwaukee vacuum, not a pack out because I'm a pua. But it works so freaking well. It attaches right here. It's got this little rubber bezel on here that suctions to the wall. I have done this on brick. Obviously drywall works great, but it creates this great little catch-all with a tiny little suction hole there. And if you're drilling multiple holes, if you're doing anchors, like there's nothing worse than dealing with that drywall dust. Or even worse, God forbid, brick dust, that red, gross stuff. Actually, hey, look, there's some of it on there still. It did its job. It got it. It's really, really a game changer if you do this kind of thing regularly. Even if you don't, if you just like hang stuff around the house and change your art up frequently and are constantly vacuuming and annoyed at that, spend I think it's $40 from Home Depot. Get it. They're great. I am mad that I didn't get one of these sooner because it is, if anything, it's like a magic trick. You can show people when you install it, they are more impressed with the fact that this thing just sticks to the wall like that. Yeah. And you'll make new friends just because of this. See? But that is my top 5.5, 6, 7, 8. I like all the tools. Yeah. I don't know what to do. I have a tool problem.
I kind of forced you to narrow it down quite a bit.
I know, you did. That was mean. So we'll see you next week for Aaron's next 5.
Yeah. This is going to be Aaron's weekly.
Yes. What has Aaron spent money on this week?
Yeah. I found this little washer on the floor and it fits this thing perfectly. Great. Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah. All right.
But Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Like and subscribe. Patreon. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yay. Tools.
What the honors? Oh, it does like a drywall wall, right?
And I came to groove, the whole band's here and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. I'm coming out the jacket cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see